Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered is out right now. It is $49.99. Just a quick heads up, while I was recording this video, Green Man Gaming did not have Oblivion Remastered in stock. They now do have it in stock. It is 16% off for $42. You won't pay tax either. Go after it, you guys. Link in the description box below. If you buy it using my link, I do get an affiliate kickback, which is much appreciated, but you're getting it for $42 instead of like 50 and change, whatever your region is, and the tax you paid. But 16% off, $42 for the base version, and then the deluxe edition is 16% off for $50.39. Check it out for yourself. I'm getting all choked up trying to get through this. Alright, guys, check it out. Link down below. Enjoy the video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. But I was expecting a $70 price tag for the Oblivion Remastered. It is not $70. It is $49.99 for the base game, $59.99 for the deluxe edition, and really, I think most people are just going to go the route of getting the base game, given that it's only $50, and it includes Knights of the Nine and Shivering Isles. Look, these days, I expect as anti-consumer practices as possible, and they could have easily gotten away with pricing this at $60, even $70, I would argue, because Oblivion is that iconic of a game, and I just look at something like Last of Us Part 1, and maybe that just goes to show how whack Sony is, and Sony releasing Last of Us Part 1 for $70. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black just came out earlier this year, and that was $50, and I enjoyed Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, but, you know, Oblivion Remastered, Ninja Gaiden 2, orders of magnitude in terms of scale of differences of those games. Oblivion is a way bigger game, but it's $50. I'm not going to complain about that. Hell, I'm going to celebrate it. And this is where a lot of the times I talk about how I am so pessimistic when it comes to gaming that my pessimism ended up with me being pleasantly surprised. If it was $70, I would have just accepted it, been a little disappointed, been like, it is what it is. It's on Game Pass Ultimate, of course, as well, so you can play it on there, and Game Pass PC, but the fact is, $50 for a game of this size, and to give you an idea, Oblivion Remaster is a game that 30 hours for the main story if you rush through it, but if you take your time and do the side content, you're looking at 80 hours of gameplay, and completing it all, you know, 150, 160 hours of gameplay. That's going by how long to beat. You know, and the visuals are incredibly updated. This is why I think, like, this term remaster is getting thrown around way too much, because when I see an Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster, and then I see, like, Days Gone, like, bro, this is more in line with a remake. We can call it a remaster, but this is more in line with a remake. And, you know, Last of Us Part 1 was calling itself a remake, and that game certainly was a nice update, but $70, it was not worth it at that price point. You're talking about Oblivion being a game that's, you know, arguably 10x as much content as Last of Us Part 1, and Last of Us Part 1 was a release that literally Sony stripped away content from that game. It did not have the Factions multiplayer. Now, to be fair, it did have the Left Behind DLC, but it did not have the Factions multiplayer, so the reality is, like, that was the comparison point I was really utilizing in my head to assess Oblivion's price point. I'm like, yeah, bro, if Last of Us Part 1 is $70, this is gonna be this is gonna be at least $60, if not $70. But the fact that it is $50, again, maybe this should be the standard pay at $50 for a re-release that is updated to this extent. Maybe $50 should be the standard, but again, my expectations out of gaming these days are so low. We got $80 Mario Kart World, we got $70 Last of Us Part 1. You tell me a rebuilt Oblivion was only gonna be $50. Again, I find that absolutely startling, absolutely shocking to an extent, and you know what, no, credit to him, and you know, hopefully this paves the way for Virtuous to handle other remasters and updated release. Rumblings have it that Fallout 3 is gonna be next. All aboard on that. Hopefully Fallout New Vegas. If I had the pencil and I could timeline it out, I would do Fallout 3 next. I would do, after that, ideally you could do Fallout New Vegas, and that would be so far away that if Microsoft has a brain cell, you figure out a way to get New Vegas 2, the ball rolling on that, because Microsoft needs immense gargantuan releases. A New Vegas 2 would be exactly that, but imagine if in 2030 we get like a New Vegas remaster, 2031. I know we're talking like way far ahead here, but 2031, and then 2033, 2034, you set up Obsidian releasing New Vegas 2. Like, that would be insane, and you're talking about, at that point, that would be 25 years since New Vegas. I'll be damn near 40 by the time this hypothetical New Vegas 2 comes out. But you know what? We prognosticate on this channel. We prognosticate and we predict things. Although I was absolutely wrong about the price point of Oblivion, but more than happy to be wrong in this instance. System requirements have been noted as well, and by the way, the game is Steam Deck verified. If I were to just look at the system requirements, I would be like, oh, this definitely won't be playable on the deck, but it is deck verified. We'll see exact performance on there. Minimum requirements: AMD Ryzen 5 2600X, Intel Core i7 6800K, 16 gigs of RAM minimum, AMD RX 5700, and then an NVIDIA GeForce 1070 Ti for minimum. Recommended, you're looking at a Ryzen 5 3600X and Intel Core i5 10600K, 32 gigs of RAM. Yes, the daunted 32 gigs of RAM recommended here. So for those of you with your 16 gigabyte machines, I would be buckling up, you know, in the sense that it might be time for you to update to 32 gigabytes, because while it's not the standard across the board, when you start seeing a requirement that is becoming more and more recommended and you don't have that, that's usually the telltale sign that, okay, that aspect of your build, you might want to consider upgrading. Does that mean you can't get away with it? No, you can get away with 16 gigabytes of RAM, but in a year, 2 years, yeah, that's going to become more and more of a standard where a lot of games are going to be recommending 32 gigabytes. So just keep that in mind. Radeon RX 6800 XT is recommended, RTX 2080, and then 125 gigabytes of recommended storage space. That's going to be the size of the game. I know that there was a lot of social media posts about, oh my god, the original was 7 gigabytes, it's 125 gigabytes. Now, okay, when the original came out, you guys, people were buying Xbox 360s with 20 gigabytes of storage space. That is not the case anymore. People are buying consoles with a terabyte. People are buying consoles with even 2 terabytes. People are buying PCs with a terabyte or PCs with 2 terabytes. You know, it's a different ball game, so I feel like that's an incredibly disingenuous comparison. The world's evolved in 20 years. Do I think game file sizes are insane and way too big at times? Absolutely. 120 gigs is insane, but to do these 7 gigabytes to 120 gigabytes, not a very genuine comparison point. At least I don't think. I think that's a very disingenuous comparison. But again, incredibly ecstatic about the $49.99 price point, and I just think it's a slam dunk home run as far as a price point of a remaster of this extent goes. You know, if Sony was in the same situation and they have the opportunity to price it at whatever they want, it would be $70 and $90 for the deluxe edition. I have no doubt in my mind that that is the case, and that is the reference point that I use a lot, so my apologies for suggesting that this could be $70. But look at what we've seen out of gaming recently, you guys. $80 Mario Kart World, $70 Last of Us Part 1, $50 for these superfluous remasters that Sony's throwing out in Days Gone and Last of Us Part 2. Like, I thought Oblivion being a rebuilt game here with 100 plus hours of content, $70 would be something that they would pay. And I assure you guys, if Sony was in this position, they would charge $70 for it. But thankfully, that was not the case. And whoever made the decision and the call to make it $50, I appreciate it, because I also talk about, you know, increasing the value of Game Pass. If it's $70 on other platforms and on Game Pass is just baked in there, that would entice a lot of people to check it out. But nonetheless, $49.99, excellent news. Check it out for yourself. Steam Deck verified, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.